ربنا أعلاك قدرا يا إمام الأنبياء أنت في الوجدان حي أنت للعينين ضي أنت عند الحوض ري أنت هاد وصف.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the charity. My name is Firas Patel. Of course, this is a show that features many NGOs across South Africa. And today we're going to be talking about the Islamic Da'wah movement who are having their live pledge line on Hilaal TV. I'd like to welcome one of its members, Dr. Ibrahim Dada. Dr. Dada, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and jazakallah so much for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having us, brothers, for us.
It's an absolute pleasure. Dr. Dada, talk to us about the origins of Islamic Da'wah movement.
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. IDM, we are popularly known as IDM, Islamic Dawah Movement of Southern Africa, was established in 1977. That's over 47 years ago, in a remote little area outside Durban called Marin Hill. Today it's known as Zilweleni. And started as a little welfare little thing. There were very, very poor people living here from the disadvantaged communities, and we thought we'll do some little bit of welfare work. But over the years, this turned out to be what we now know as IDM. So we are now 47 years old, starting off as a small welfare body outside in a remote little rural area called Marin Hill or Zilweleni. And now, with the qudrat of Allah, we have grown to be one of the larger national and regional, Southern African regional dawah bodies. You can say kind of, it was a response to an ayah in the Quran when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِّمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Who is better in speech than one who calls to Allah, performs dawah, does good, and says, I'm of those who bow in Islam? So, in other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was asking a rhetorical question, and of which the expected answer was that there is no one better, and we took up this challenge, a group of us, and established this organization, which today is known as IDM. In a nutshell, coming to this year, 2024, in this 47 years, IDM has built over 80 masajids, all in the townships. It has translated the Quran into 9 Southern African languages, which include Zulu, Xhosa, Sotho, Swana, Chichewa, Yawo, and Portuguese. It has printed and distributed over 150,000 mushafs or Qurans free of charge. So Alhamdulillah, with the qudrat of Allah, IDM has become a well-known entity in South and Southern Africa, and for that matter in many other parts of the world, because we work with joint ventures with many other organizations from different parts of the world who have faith and confidence in us, and therefore when they have a project in South Africa, they use us as a conduit to do these projects. So this is basically some of the highlights of the organization. But it has 4 broad categories of functions, namely education, research, welfare, and religious. And that the last one is the most important, where we are doing dawah or giving the true message of Islam to the non-Muslims. And our recipients are mainly from the previously disadvantaged communities. And that is why we are working only in the townships in terms of our welfare, in terms of the dawah, in terms of building the masajids and printing the Qurans and distributing the Qurans. And I should just mention, we have in this period built 3 functional clinics that are still functioning today and providing valuable service in their respective areas. And we have built several hundred boreholes and water wells as well. In addition to a host of other educational and vocational classes such as sewing, gardening, creche, computers, etc. So it's a very comprehensive organization that that we have established, and we are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having given us this opportunity, for having given us this success, and we are grateful to the Ummah in Southern Africa and beyond for having put their trust in us and given us the support over the 47 years that we have received. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Dr. Dada, much of IDM's work involves going into the rural areas and the townships. I want to focus in KwaZulu-Natal. How has IDM been able to breach that gap in reaching these communities?
You see, basically, we found, and this is how our modus operandi, this is how we function. When we found a group of Muslims in a particular area, say Isipopo was one of the very first areas nearly 47 years ago. And there were people there, maybe 100 or more, Muslims who were among the thousands of other non-Muslims staying there. The Zulus, it's a place in southern KwaZulu-Natal. So one of the first things we did, which following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, when he went to a place and he established a little masjid, and there are two classic examples of this, including the masjid in Medina. So we established a little mosque, a proper little structure, bricks and mortar, and an imam's house. And once there's imam there and there's a physical presence of Islam, the fewer Muslims in percentage-wise felt confident, and the non-Muslims began asking about this, and this is how the dawah continued along this way. And then we got to another area, or another group of Muslims from a disadvantaged area came to us and said, please, there are a few hundred Muslims or a few dozen, can you help us to set up some Islamic infrastructure, a madrasa, a masjid, and various other activities. And this is how we spread from one to the other, until we have reached now about 57 or 58 masjids that we have built, most in South Africa and some in Malawi.
Dr. Dada,
and
please continue.
Please. If I may just add, at these places we had a resident imam who was from the community, and who conducted the various activities with an assistant, if need be, and people took on, and they were happy. In fact, we have quite a few places where, in our madrasas, in our creche, there were non-Muslim mothers coming to us and saying, can my child attend your classes, even though you are Muslim, we are Christian, because I notice the children attending your class are so well behaved, and etc., etc. So, alhamdulillah, those type of things all helped. And we were there to provide service, whether it's to Muslims or non-Muslims, at the same time, to give the message of the one true God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Dr. Dara, before we go into the break, you spoke about getting alims from the community. How important is that? Because the communities need somebody who they can look up to, and most importantly, a central point. So how the task of IDM of getting these alims and the importance of that also?
Well, you see, always there's give the message in the language of the people. And that doesn't mean literally the language, but it means the messengers who are of that people, the language, the cultural ways. And sometimes some organizations based in non-African areas make the mistake of having people from the Indian subcontinent, which is very good, and it is alhamdulillah, it's okay in some Indian areas. But when you are going, especially in deep, remote African areas, it's important that they see their own people who have turned to Islam, and they feel more confident, and they are more ready to accept Islam, if they find that this is what they're looking for. I know in one meeting, we had a group of about 40, 50 ladies, African ladies, attending a little small lecture. And when the imam from their own community that we had brought mentioned about Islam prohibits drinking and pork, literally the ladies were so happy and so joyful. They said, if only this way of life could be practiced by our menfolk, because the menfolk were getting drunk and being abusive and things like that. So it's not only that we want to change people, their religion, but we know through this concept, through this message of the oneness of God and the Islamic way of life, we know it's a purer and a cleaner way of life, alhamdulillah. So we are concerned about the communities in that respect.
Alhamdulillah. After the break, I continue my conversation with Dr. Ibrahim Dada. We're going to be looking ahead to that pledge line. Do stay tuned.
أنت عند الحوض ري أنت هاد وصفي أنت عند الحوض ري أنت هاد وصفي.
Welcome back to Know Your Charity. We are looking ahead to the Islamic Dawah Movement live pledge line. Dr. Dada, what can some of our viewers and those wanting to donate contribute towards?
Alhamdulillah, we are having a pledge line next week, Friday, and on the 15th of March, which is the night of the 4th of Ramadan. And we hope and pray, inshallah, that your viewers will support IDM. In this month, we need as much zakat as we can, because many of our activities are zakatable. In most of the activities that I mentioned, but of course the main item is in Ramadan, people want to dispense with the zakat, and to us, this will be a bonus because in this month, we are able to collect many months in advance of our funding to be able to do our work, inshallah. But more important, for nearly 20 years, IDM has been providing over tens of thousands of meals, iftar meals and suhoor meals in the disadvantaged communities, in over 50 masajid in the townships. So we look forward to sponsorship for that, for which you can use zakat, lillah, sadaqah. We accept fitra, fidya, kafara, or any categories of funds. And in this month, it's not only that people are fasting and they are hungry, but we encourage the youth in our respective centers in Isipofo, Nineveh, and all the other different townships to stay into the center. So they come there for iftar, they perform the maghrib, then there is Isha and Taraweeh, they have a dinner, those who are able to stay, and they even sleep over. We try and provide mattresses, pillows, etc., so they can perform the Hajjud, Fajr, and Suhoor. It becomes a very, very strong dawah aspect, dawah activity, and you find many people embracing Islam. And even our new Muslim youths, they are spending more time in the mosque, which is so much of barakah there. So we hope that your viewers will support us in these activities. We need lots of funds to feed them and to make allowance for all these activities. However, having said that, we also know that Ramadan is a month of the Quran. It is the month in which the Quran was first revealed with the Surah Iqra, the first 5 ayats. So, IDM has become one of the leading organizations in translating the Qurans in local languages, Southern African languages, and also one of the leaders in printing Qurans and distributing them free of charge. So we are running low on almost all our Qurans, be it Xhosa, Afrikaans, Sotho, Zulu, and also the other Southern African languages, Portuguese, Yawo, Chichewa, and Runyankore, which is a Ugandan language. So these Qurans cost 100 rands each, and we need to print as many as we can. And there's so much sawab for people to donate towards the Quran, towards the fasting. As you know, the famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that if you give someone food to break his fast, you will get the same reward as the person fasting. In another narration, where they say you get sawab for every syllabus or letter read in the Quran. Now, if you have donated the Quran read by someone, you get your sawab even if the person is just reading alif, lam, mim, etc. But also, IDM has produced hundreds of boreholes and water wells. A water well costs about 16,000 rands each, a borehole at 58,000 rands. And we built nice, lovely, small masjids, brick and mortar, in Malawi for a minimum of 280,000 rands. And these are ideal for Sadaqah Jariyah, everlasting reward, and Isal Sawab for your marhum parents or any other member of the family. So, we are really hoping and really praying that, inshallah, your viewers will support us in all his activities, and feel free to contact us at our various numbers, and or even contact me personally. My cell phone is 083 227 1223. That's 083 227 1223. However, the landline at IDM is 031 304 6883. Or they could contact us by email or go into our website. And those who want to donate may donate online as well. I should just mention here that IDM is a registered NGO, it's a registered trust, and it is registered for 18A for tax deduction by donors. Our website is www.idmsa.org. www.idmsa.org. So these are the various ways in which people, your viewers, can support IDM, and we are hoping and praying that they will do so in large numbers, inshallah, and inshallah reap the rewards and ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Ameen, Tuma, Ameen. Dr. Dada, one of the uniqueness about IDM is the ability to translate the Quran into the local languages. That's special, isn't it?
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. I must say we haven't personally done the translation, but through our contacts and and the scholars who are doing it. And in addition, there have been some translations done where they were hidden in the sense, hidden in inverted commas. People just printed a few thousand and they just didn't have the funds to print more. We sought these people out, we rectified and corrected, or if there were any correction required, and we printed them. And we are continuing to do so. Before we print any new edition, we go to the author, to the translators, and we get them to check and recheck again if there have been any new changes. Not in terms of that there were errors, but people may have thought of better words to translate the original Arabic into their own language. So, Alhamdulillah, I would like to think that in this respect, we are the leaders. I don't think any other organization is doing it on such a great scale in South and Southern Africa. And we are proud, we are happy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this responsibility, which we hope to take up very seriously, and which we are doing so, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Dr. Dara, I'm going to ask you for your closing remarks ahead of the pledge line.
Yeah. I don't know how to say it. You know, all charity is good. There are such lovely hadiths about feeding and about providing water and about giving a food to a person fasting and any other charity, any other under the sun. But I feel personally that a lot of people don't appreciate the work of dawah right now. You may spend millions on many of the other things that I mentioned. And alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the reward, inshallah. You can spend, in my opinion, same amount of money on dawah, calling people to Islam, to the one true God, and to everything that Islam upholds. In my opinion, there is such a far-reaching effect as we see it. You'll get your reward for what you give. There is no doubt about that. But somehow in this day and age, with all the Islamophobic things happening all over the world, and we know what's happening now in Palestine and everywhere before this, 9/11, etc. And we feel the more people can spend on dawah activities and giving the message and calling people to Islam, no force, no compulsion, these are all fundamental principles in Islam, but just inviting them, and they either accept the invitations or they don't, and inviting them through these seminars, through these Quran translations, through these building massages, places of worship towards Allah, it will go such a far away, and it will change the demography of the population on earth. And we hope and pray that people may see it in that light and help us and join us in some way or another and give us more funding that we can do the dawah work. And as a last point, I can attest for it myself in 47 years of this organization, which I co-founded with other brothers and sisters, that we can see Islam growing by leaps and bounds. And we know things are a bit different. So let us let us make this go faster, and the day comes sooner when we shall have some measure of peace and security and safety, and not what is happening right now in many parts of the world. So I really plead to our viewers, support us and join us and work with us in giving this message of Islam, the message of the one true God to one and all, inshallah.
Inshallah. I mean, Dr. Dara, Jazakallah so much for making the time for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make your pledge a success and grant you many more years of barakah and good health to continue the fantastic work you are doing. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
It's
barakatuh.
Dr. Ibrahim Tara from Islamic Dawah Movement ahead of their live pledge line. For myself, Faraz Patel, and the rest of the team here in Johannesburg, do stay tuned to Hilaal TV for more Ramadan content. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
نور الله فجرا جئت بعد العسر يسرا ربنا أعلاك قدرا يا إمام الأنبياء أنت في الوجدان حي أنت للعينين ضي أنت عند الحوض